All right, hello, hello, hello. Back in the career build series now for 2026. Let me just get this volume down just a little on this music here. So, it's been a little while since last episode. We kind of started actually 2025, but it was for the new season to start over again. So, kind of the thought process here is I wanted to get into coal mining as kind of our first thing, and I wanted to do an unusual base start for us. And so where we're starting here is we've got spy cakes. This gives us a dock. This gives us train. This gives us good access to the dock coal mines. And then we can buy Dre more pretty quickly. Won't take that much money. And that will give us an air base. So we have a kind of cool little island for ourselves here. What's that? Distress 5,000, 17 minutes. Okay. Um, and so we're kind of doing a coal mining start. One thing I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to go in and it's difficult to be able to see on the stream when it is dark. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut that darkness down here. Let's go ahead. I forget where we're at, so let's go ahead and we'll fly into the mountain. We'll see what we have for equipment here. All right, good. So we've got my loader from the challenge, which hopefully gets done soon. Got that. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of this wind. And increase the volumes again. This music's really driving me nuts right now, actually. I'm just going to shut it off. All right. All right, and we've got the mining loader here. We've got the mini truck for refueling, and then we have nothing else, so that's fine. We'll go ahead and we will launch the dump truck. I can't even recall if the dump truck fits in the tunnel. Yeah, I wish I remembered if the dump truck fit in the tunnel. Yeah, Sergeant's the first this time. Did my teleport not work, or did I? Oh, I don't have teleport on. That's fine. I'll fly back over there. We'll drive the dump truck, the articulated dump truck over there. All right. So we built this articulated dump truck. I cannot remember if it fills. Just did a workshop episode, and part of that workshop episode was making sure we had a train car that worked for us. So make sure this doesn't have any coal in it. This is one of the reasons why I think, it's great to have that no clip on no matter what, is it really makes it much easier to even just like quickly check. One thing we need to keep an eye on is our diesel. We don't have tons and tons and tons of diesel, so we have to kind of be careful. That will get us into buying some or moving some. All right, Sergeant, if you don't care for the, if there's any audio issues, let me know. Hey, how's it going, Thermite? Good to see you again. So this was my challenge. The front loader was my challenge build for Alistair's challenge. And hopefully the video comes out soon. I know how much work it is, especially with the holidays. It was tough, like, I think my longest challenge video took me 16 hours to do. And so they're quite laborious. I know Alistair's working on it. Hopefully it comes out soon. It was a fun challenge, and I appreciate that. But, patience. I can't remember. This may not fit in there. Can't remember. Okay. No, that doesn't fit. That's annoying. That doesn't fit. How far off are we? Pretty much the lights, I'm thinking. Yeah, just the lights. All right. So we don't. Oh, the other thing, we don't have to worry about fuel here because we can buy as much fuel as we want here. So that's the other thing too. Is I get it, people struggling with new players trying to figure out fuel, but you can also choose your base to be near fuel. Like there's a fuel spawner right here, so you know that is an option as well. You can pick bases that are near fuel. I get people wanting to start at the beginner base, but again, like, is it the end of the world that you have to restart over again? No. Is it really that hard to give yourself free money? No. I've done plenty of tutorials on that, and then you can get in there on that. One thought I had was, can we trying to think how close the rail line gets to dock. It really isn't that close. Yeah, so this is more open pit, the design of this dump truck. I talked about how like it really wouldn't be that hard to convert this into a lower unit, and the ones that go in the mines, essentially what they do is move the cab forward a little bit and down. So I don't want to build too much. I just did some building in the workshop episode, trying to keep most of the building to the workshop. So if you like watching building, you can watch a workshop episode, and if you like watching career gameplay, you can watch the career build series. You know, the build is still in the build series. You can do a little bit of building, especially if we're incrementally working on craft. But I don't want to dedicate the whole thing. So like what we could do is we don't have to drop the roof too much. Pretty much that lip, that protective lip, if that went down, say 2, maybe, we can then get the cab forward and down a little bit, and that should get us where we need to be. But I don't want to screw with this too much right now. I can definitely get my dump truck in there. So that's the other choice, is bring the dump truck around. The wind gets really loud in game once you get up towards the top of the mountain here. But I'm liking this articulated dump truck, and I wanted to get a good drive with this. So. It's turned out well. This turned out pretty good as well. Let's make sure no clip is off. And we'll do that, and we'll turn it back on if we need it. And the reason for that is if no clip is on, it allows us to... why is my fuel showing 0? I gotta fix that. Something's up with my fuel tanks. If no clip is on, it allows missions to spawn anywhere. I don't want them to spawn close, so... I'll knock down environmental noises if it gets too loud. If that gets too loud, let me know, guys. I would love to get some multiplayer mining going again on some of my days off. That would be fun. I kind of wanted to get Alistair's challenge video done and then see if he wanted to do some of that with me, and like he could stream it, I could stream it. I want him to get that, you know, make sure he gets that out of the way, and then if he wants to like bring in some of the vehicles or whatnot, that'd be kind of fun. Even invite like people from his community to come join, and then that would be kind of cool for doing. if you did watch the last episode, you know, I think the timing on this loader is about perfect. I can do one loop and it fills the bucket, and it makes for a real fun kind of loop. What is park brake? Space. All right, good. And then we can go ahead and we'll shut down, and I'll light off. One more click. There we go. All right. All right, excellent. Let's go ahead and fire up the loader. The panels should look similar to you. So they are literally the same. All right. The difference is the shifting. What did I have a shifting here? Oh, park brake has to come off the shift. All right, that's it. It's 1 and 2. So to kind of refresh everybody on how this works, this is on the workshop. This is for Alistair's challenge, and the if you're in first or second gear, it will drill. This is a huge fuel savings to make it so that it you can drive around without the drills going. The drills use an incredible amount of power, and I was talking about how it's faster to go slow. And what I mean by that is, the longer we stay on the patch, the more drilling we're getting done. And so as soon as we get off that patch, I want to shift in a third, get out of drilling, shift back into first before we hit the patch. And you see how nice and slow we go over the patch? That's giving us maximal drill time. And you see we got a nice long drilling opportunity here. And then as soon as we hit the edge of the patch, we want to shift up to third, shift back down to first before we hit the patch. Yep. I gotta back up a little bit here. You know, you could of course use some of those infinite electricity or infinite power glitches. I hate that shit, so I don't do it, but you know, I know some people have done that with slipping clutches and flywheels to make some of that stuff work. But all right, so you can hear it shut off, so that means we're full. We don't want to raise our bucket too high as we're driving because that puts our center of gravity high and makes us tippy. And then we want to go slow using our gearing so that we don't you know, hit anything. And I did make, been a while since I did it, but I made a larger version of this that will work with my open pit mining dump truck, and that's a lot of fun because it, you know, it really drills at a much higher level of speed, but it's a much bigger, more expensive piece of equipment. So it's a much later game type of piece of equipment. That'll be fun to use. We'll do this whole pass in first person. I like these hidden miners too. Like, it's, you know, I don't have anything against, like, you want exposed drill mining, but I think it's kind of cool because, you know, you get to make some cool vehicles like loaders that you actually use in mining if you want. One thing I would like the devs to add is 1x1 mining, not 1x1, but let's say 1x3 or 1x2 mining drills. And 1x1 ducting. That would be fantastic because you can make some much smaller stuff too, like you could use skid steers and stuff like that. You could also do more hidden stuff like I'm doing where you have, for example, an excavator bucket that hides the drill. All right, so you can hear the drill sped up. That means that we are full. So pretty much one pass and we're all full up. All right, there we go. Let's see how fast this will fill this up. That is 217 done. Forget what the capacity of this truck is. Oh, what am I doing? It's also important to me, like, the economy be reasonable, and so, like, making things too fuel efficient, like, this is pretty good on fuel efficiency, but you see, we'll have to fill up again, and the fuel price pretty cheap. It's not, you know, it still keeps it profitable. I would like the devs to rework the economy a little bit. Like, you know, gold is ridiculously, why even bother with gold? Iron tends to be pretty tough too. I think they could really benefit from adding some like second stage stuff, for example, where, you know, you can turn steel into things like I-beams, and then those sell for a higher price, but you gotta go move it from A to B, and then you actually get I-beams you have to move. That would be really cool. All right, there we go, we're full. All right. See if I can get a picture for the, still need a picture for the, screenshot for the, thumbnail. There we go. That's a pretty good one. Take another one. All right, good. I always liked articulated machines. They're kind of cool the way they drive and get them nice and tight. The driving of this is pretty intuitive, which I really like. You know, it doesn't take long to feel pretty, you know, an expert at it. Gain some expertise, gain some technique. It's rewarding that you start to like learn how the machine works and feel like you're doing a good job of operating it. Like you see how close I can get to these rocks and not hit them. You know, like knowing where your sight lines are. All right, we're full. So it's really easy to tell when you're full. You know, it's just you can hear the engine change sound, you can hear the drill shut off. You don't need a light or something like that in the cockpit to really show you that. You just need to pay attention, you know, and I like that more. It's a little bit more engaging, and again, you start to gain some expertise with your vehicle. I do like how they put ore on the cave walls. That really, you know, that gives you another type of mining you could do if you want to dig on the caves. I would love to see another DLC for the game. Would be great. You know, I think forestry farming would be fantastic. I think that would be a good evolution. You need a lot of machines. That's where I think a lot of people kind of misunderstand what the point of the game is like it's building and operating and creating your own machines, and so you need some sort of thing that brings in tons of machines. I think farming and forestry would do a great job with that. Yeah, let's go ahead and get the fuel truck moving over here. I'm gonna try to get a new picture with this. There we go. Yep. Park and brake is a lovely thing to have on. There we go. Very cool, yeah. Being able to get in the mines. I'm just reading some of the chat. Oh, that's very cool. A tractor towing a drill wagon. That's neat. That's why I think like if you could add 1x1 or 1x say 3 or 1x2 drills, that'd be great, and some small ducting because you could do some smaller level like you know, there's a lot of cool ideas that are ruined by just the parts being very large. So if you can add more small parts, I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, and really all you need to do is you essentially make the harvester like mining tools. I would do them a little bit different. I'd do them 3 wide and kind of make them look like a cutter head. And then you can add ducting behind them, and I think you really need to add 1x1 ducting. I think that would be a great addition with the farming add-on, or add farming DLC, or whatever you want to do. Because that would add a new part, ducts that are 1x1, and you know, you can make those universal parts where everybody gets them, even if they don't want to buy the DLC or whatever. And then if you want to actively use the farming parts, you have to buy the DLC. Which people whine about buying DLC. It's like, come on, man, you want the game to stay alive or not? Like, you go to work every day, you expect a paycheck, pay for the things you like. Yeah, I think farming with crops and animals would be fantastic. We already have animals in game. We know we can pick some of them up, right? We can pick up goats. We can pick up stuff like that. I think they could do kind of a Minecraft-esque thing with cows, where you attract them and you put them on a trailer, and then bing, you carry them off with a trailer, and then you put them in a fenced-in area in your farm, and they're yours. Even if it was like the farm was somewhat pre-built, where you had a paddock with fence all around it, and you could only, your quote-unquote your cows had to be in the fenced-in area for the game to recognize they're your cows. And then having some level of like real simple Minecraft breeding thing, where if you have a male and a female cow, or male and a female cow, if you have a bull and a cow within proximity of each other inside of the fenced-in area, every certain amount of time you get a new calf, and after a certain number of days that calf turns into a full-size animal. That would be kind of a cool way to increase your herd size. This is the kind of thing I like to, is the spending the time to go fill up a vehicle, you know, with some fuel. We don't have a ton of fuel on this little car right now, so we gotta still be careful we don't run out. But all right, and important things not to do with little vehicles is leave them behind big vehicles, because that's how they end up into smush vehicles. So park that crap out of the way. We don't want to be smooshed. Let's see what we have in there for coal at the moment. The coal does not make us a ton of money. 544, not too bad right there. I do like this kind of the way that coal is also a secondary product where you can use it to make steel. The problem is some of the logistical issues that the devs have with this game. Like, for example, it's like to get the coal down there is like you pretty much have to use a train, which I get, like forcing people into a certain mode so that people use it. But it's a long train ride to get from here down to the mill, you know. Where I think you know, ability to, for example, do something with coal via ship, like move barges of coal and then sell it at a certain place on the map, that would be a cool addition. You know, I think that would be something good. Have a coal power plant, another place to go deliver it is really like, it's super easy for them, because all they really need to add is a sell spot. They don't actually have to make a facility that actually burns coal. All they have to do is, you know, you got a place that looks like a coal, it looks like a power plant, which they already, you know, kind of have some place to look like that, and then just you know, you just deliver it and it sells it there. I would love to see them fix the kind of the economics of oil is screwed up. You know, the Arctic should have tons and tons of oil, but very few buy customers. So the sell price should be absolute garbage up in the Arctic, but it is literally the best place to go and mine oil. So you want to go get some oil up there, tons and tons of oil, very few customers. you know, or buy. Not even mine. Mining is kind of irrelevant because it's going to have the same input costs. It's more like buying. Like it should be very cheap to buy up there from oil platforms and from ground drilling stations if you want to just buy it, but you have to transport it long distances. Let me see what that comment from Sergeant was. I forget what the capacity is on this. So what some people have done, I think like Carnival did one, which was really cool. They had like super fast mining drills, and I don't know if, I assume they were using a glitch to keep them running at the speeds they were running at. Because they had 2 medium electric drill motors, I think. And I think using some sort of glitch generator with flywheels, but I'm not 100% sure. It was just too compact. But like, you know, if people want to do that, that's great. Just, that's not my style. There are some things that are interesting to me, like some people have been using, for example, steam pistons pretty much as almost like flywheels. They're using them as a mass. And so what they do is they'll use a diesel and they'll turn the pistons both for looks and also the fact that you can, you know, increase output because you're essentially adding the torque. It's a little cheaty, but it's like, again, you know, you can make it kind of look cool and get a little bit more power out of it. I'm not, you know, opposed to it. Alright, I think we'll go ahead and we will... These are getting real thin, these ore veins, because like I haven't shut off on that run. But again, this build here is only possible because of the recent additions the devs have made. For example, like I'll show you some of how this build works. So like, in order to tip the bucket, you can see that hinge right there. That hinge on the right is powered. That is the only thing tipping that bucket, is that small robotic pivot. The one on the left is the new part, is the free-floating pivot that allows RPS through. So only one of those pivots is actually passing through power at all. So that's kind of, you know, it was a really cool feature they added. All right. Go, we're shut down. It would be cool to make another loader that will fit in that tunnel. So again, this is the kind of cool thing that, you know, that sometimes people don't get, is when you add constraints, you really start to force people into building some cool shit. It's like, you know, for example, you know, in real life for mining underground, you know, you have to have really low top vehicles in order to be able to, you know, get down in the mines. And so same thing with game. By having that tunnel, yeah, you can drive around if you want, but it's much quicker and more efficient to go through that tunnel. And so it kind of presses you into building some builds that are, you know, pretty short. And, you know, so like I want to go and I want to build a shorter dump truck. I want to go and I want to build a shorter loader that can fit in there. And so that'd be kind of cool to do. And it adds to, you know, when people say I get bored, I don't know what to build next. Well, that's part of it. It's like, oh, I want to go coal mining, so I need a suite of short vehicles, and I have the microcontrollers from these, and I can literally just kind of like tear these apart and shrink them down. Like that cab that I have on that loader is, I literally took that cab off to go make my bigger loader. I took all the microcontrollers to make the bigger loader. I took the microcontrollers off that loader and put it on this. You know, so it's like, it cuts the work way down. This was done in a weekend because it's like I just took all the microcontrollers from the loader. I'll get close to the wall. Oop, 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 don't do it. I wanted a picture of, like, how much do I want a picture? Let's do that. What one does for art. Yeah, the belts were fantastic. The belts were a really great addition to the game. The devs have been putting out fantastic updates lately. You know, they've been great. You know, between PTOs and all those RPS parts and the belts and folders and all the stuff that people have been asking for, and it's like some mo the other day is like, do the devs even update this anymore? And somebody's like, no, and it's like, dude, just like go look through the updates in the last 4 months. It's like, it's all been stuff people have been asking for. Like, you might not like it, it might not be what you wanted, but doesn't mean they're not giving the people what they want, you know? Just not what you wanted. But that's just a hallmark of selfish people, is if they don't get what they want, then must be bad. It's like, there's plenty of updates that they've added to this game that I have no interest in. Like, the other one that was great that we've been asking for a long time was a Boolean to be able to derail. Like, there are so many rail riding vehicles I want to build now. Like, for a while there, I was trying to get my crane that I use to pick up all my vehicles when they tip over. I was trying to make that rail so they could run on the rail. But until we get that Boolean, I couldn't do it. Now I can go do that, you know, and that's great. Looking forward to that. I might bring back my Mac because the Mac can go road speeds. And that's the other thing too, is like, if you take some of the restrictions that you have in these real world vehicles and you put them into your builds, like, you see people getting bored all the time, they don't know what to build next. And it's because they make some sci-fi, or sci-fi is not the right word, some unrealistic vehicle that can do things that it wouldn't be able to do IRL. And so it can do every job. And so, for example, they might build something like this, but instead of going 20 miles an hour, which is a reasonable speed for this, they make it go 100 miles an hour. So now you have a race car dump truck. Well, you know, you can, I could drive all the way down there and deliver this, you know, with something that fast. Or I can make this go 20, and then, hey, I want to go a little bit faster. I'm going to bring one of my land dump trucks, one of my road dump trucks, because that would be quicker, you know, and that's I think, a better way to do it. Nope, 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 don't do it, you prick. Don't do it, you prick. I knew I was going to do that. All right. All right. Ugh. That was me thinking at the last second I wanted to change which way I was going. Because I was going to go up and get gas, and then I was like, nope, I'll go there. And that caused stupidity to take root. So, let's see where the fuck we are. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to see this because it's add-on editor. You can't see it when I'm loading stuff in, but you'll see it once I get in. That's why you don't swerve IRL. Never turns out right good for you. I do wish they would layer these chunks, or at least make an overlay for the map that you could go on the map and overlay where the coordinates are. Oh, where the hell are we here? I'm trying to find the spot. It is super annoying to find. Oh, it's on Main. Okay. Main airstrip. We're up by Terminal Spy Cakes. All right, there it is. Edit objects. All right, here we go. We're in the money now. All right. Yeah, this mobile crane, I want to be able to so that's, again, people get frustrated with this sort of thing. Don't. You know, you tipped a vehicle over. It's not the end of the world. Use the add-on editor. Put in some sort of vehicle either you made or you used off the workshop, and go fix it. You know, don't cry about it all day. Just, you know, come up with an engineering solution to your problem. Let's see. Here we go. I haven't driven this in a while. I'm trying to remember. You know, so if you know, it gives you a reason to go build some vehicles. It gives you a reason to go make something. Is like, you know, bad shit happens. You tip vehicles over. Don't cry about it. Go make a vehicle. Go click the add-on editor. Like, you know, I don't have the money right now to be purchasing this outright, but I also don't need to because I can use the add-on editor and get it for free. So there's plenty of ways to do this where you don't need to kick your own ass, you know? Yeah, it just takes a second to chill out. Some people don't have that ability to just chill out for 2 secs. All right, good. Let's see. We want that's good. Then we want to do what? Functions. My boom's stuck at the moment. I think it is a little bit. All right, let's see. So it's really like not the end of the world. Like you can make this shit out to be the end of the world. Or you can just chill out for a bit, you know? You know, and then the other cool thing is like you pick up some crane skills doing this sort of thing, you know? There we go. Okay, I got the boom's a little stuck. All right, grandfather says first rule of tipping a vehicle over is set the damn parking brake, and grandfather forgot to do it. There we go. All right, you always want to set the parking brake there so it doesn't roll around. That was part of my problem there, was it was fixing to roll. Because of that, I couldn't put it down properly. Alright, let's see. I forget what the, I'm trying to remember if, I might have not put in a release. I think I forgot to put a release on that, so I gotta do this. One thing we can do is go to add-on editor. Do that. And now it's gone. Alright, good. So, again, see how we didn't cry or piss our pants doing this shit? We just had some fun running our crane. Like, you know, a lot of this stuff is perspective and chilling out and just taking your time. And it's like, yeah, it sucks. Your dump truck tipped over. Go get a crane. Go tip it back over. And you can turn it into a bit of fun, you know? Because I enjoyed playing my crane again. It was, you know, and then I'm going to inevitably, you know, I already found something that my crane needs to be improved with, which is I don't have a release button on there. So I got to go through the crane and put a release button on there. Alright, like all good things in gaming, we're going to save. Alright, here's the backup and the date. Let's go ahead and make it today's date. What are we talking today? 14? Alright, that's that. Alright, good. And now we're back in business here, and we're going to go and we're going to check the coal quantity in the base here. We have 276, so we're just going to despawn this. And we should increase by whatever's in the back. It's 5 something, I think. And now remember, the whole time we've been gone, all those coal patches are regrowing. You know, slowly. Alright, so now when we despawn this, this should give us the coal quantity. And we look in there, and we have 1,021, so that's good. Alright, let's read some chat. Game needs more vendors, different prices, even if the price just randomly changed in the game. Yep, I agree. You know, and the way that I would personally do, so I've talked about it before, so I won't belabor it too much, but again, you do some basic things from real life that make sense. For example, the Arctic, it has a lot of oil places up here. You have the oil vendor, you can buy oil. This should be dirt ass cheap, right? You have very cheap oil here, and you should be able to buy it here and sell it close to a population center. So not too many people live in the Arctic. There's good oil drilling up here, so the price is very low. There's a high amount of oil. There's no place to distill it, and there's very low demand because not a lot of people live here. So you go and you take a ship from there and you bring it. You take it down to here, and you sell it, and you get big monies because the buy price is there, and the sell price for diesel and jet fuel would be very high here. It would be a little bit less here, more in the population centers. And this would also be a place where you can drill oil. So there's not a lot of people living in the desert. So you can drill oil and sell it here for a moderate price, or you get it up to here and you sell it for a high price because this is where people live and need the commodity. So. All right, good. So we got that going. Let's go ahead and take a train run, I think, and we'll sell some. Now, this is the other problem with this coal mining here is we get 2,000 per unit, right? And so we're only getting, let me make sure I didn't screw up my save here. Let's do this. I want to make sure my save didn't get screwed up, and I kind of know why, if it did get screwed up, what it was, but let's see. All right, so we should have 1,000 minus 21 on there because that what is it, 27 it holds? Somewhere in that neighborhood. 994, that's good. And then we should put this back, and we should only be missing like 5 pieces. Yep, so we're missing 6 pieces, so that's good. And then let's go ahead and we'll quickly teleport over here, and I'm going to make sure the cell's working because I don't see it right now. I have no interest in any mods, period. I want it in the game. I don't want any mods. I've talked about this many times before. No interest in modding whatsoever. 69,252. Right. All right, good. So this is working fine. No interest in modding at all. I want it in the game. All right, by default. All right, so it popped up now. It's up. Okay, good. I want the devs to make the game. I'm not interested in mods at all. I'm glad that the feature's there if people want it. I'm glad the people who like mods, I have no desire for that. What do we got for cash on hand right now? What are you looking at for cash on hand right now? 6912. 2,000 is not enough for me to get out of bed for this right now. Let's go ahead and I need some cash. That's only worth 2,000 cash. So let's go ahead and sleep. Let's go do some missions. It was good to get a little coal mining in and get a full load in there. We need to get a really big scale coal mining to make it worth our time. I'm enjoying using the vehicles, but we really need to get it to a big scale to make it fun for me right now. But I enjoy doing it for a little while. I would just want to change and do something else. So let's go ahead and get some missions going, and let's do this. Let's do that. Do that. All right, good. All right, we got a, it's 4,000 servicing at Small Oil. All right. All right, let's see. Blue recreational boat requires servicing at Small Oil. What? Refuel and conduct repairs on a blue recreational boat at Small Oil rig. Okay. So I don't think I have something set up for this, so this will be kind of fun to do a little bit of a buildy build. We need to make sure we can pump out oil. I think I actually might have set something up for this, so let's go look. You know, one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of the modding in this game or some games is the issue becomes if people don't keep up with their mods that they worked on, kind of like the hell was the name of the passenger transport one, Stormlink. Then you can't use it anymore, and so it's like I would much rather be an innate form in the game, and then if people want to improve upon that or expand upon it, mods great. But I think the game needs to also be of that setup. Let's see. I need to be able to pump out fuel. I think that does have a pump out on it. Let me look. All right, this is. All right, pump out. Total gallons, pump in. That should work. All right, we have a hose. We have a hose. All right, so that will work. All right, so we can go do this fueling mission. Oh, I thought it was spot on the money. That was pretty good. I missed it just by the end there. All right, we could work on this build too at some point. This is from the CBS. I would like to look at Alistair's transponder locator. I tried one my own, and I was trying to do it with like a triangulation system. He has an interesting system, and I'd like to go see how his works. $132. There's no way in hell I'm headed. I guess was I heading west? No way in hell. 128. All right. Okay, no, it's right. I thought it was more south. It's pretty much southeast, east southeast. Yeah, again, I get it's cool to add some of these modded parts. I like to see some of these things innately in game. I think 1x1 clutches would be a good addition to the game, innately, but I don't want mods. I'm not interested. I want things in the game. I want them to fix these parts of the game. I think it's well doable. They don't have to have these really like complicated economies. Again, if they want to do that later, great. But start simple. I hope I have a. If I don't have a repair torch, I think I do. I might not have a repair torch in here. No, I do. It's right there. Okay. They don't have to have incredibly complicated economies, but like what they could do real simple is, oil is very, very cheap to buy from the rig in the Arctic, and to sell it at the refiner island, you make some good money on it. So it's worthwhile to throw it in a boat, take it all the way down from the Arctic, and do that. Let's say it takes you 10 times the amount of time to go from the Arctic to the refiner island as it does to go from one of the oil platforms around the refiner island. Let's say that the oil's worth 20 times as much. So it's still worth your while to put in the long, arduous trip down. Or you could do 20 trips. That's going to take you more time, but you can say do a trip in round trip, say in 30 minutes, maybe an hour with the actual filling and emptying. It's going to take you a lot more trips, but you decide you want to do one trip and then go do some rescues. You can do that instead of spending your whole day running or whole day and night running your. I gotta find this thing. Let's do this. I don't want to see myself on the map. Map vehicles, third-person vehicle. That's fine. Where is it? Bearing 206. We gotta go to the south some. It's over here. So yeah, you can do one trip and it make a huge amount of money there by going to it from the Arctic. But somebody might not want to have their computer running all night doing a mission. That might not be fun to them. But doing an hour is more entertaining. Yes, you make a lot less money, but you do get it done. And so you might want to hang around this area, and then eventually, you get your 20 trips done. But also, like, people are like trying to make $1 million. Like, for what purpose? Do you actually have a reason to make $1 million? Like, if you're running, say, a home ship, yeah, $1 million is helpful because you're burning a ton of fuel. You need that capability. And then there was a repair. Let's see. What are we repairing? Small oil rig, humidity sensor. Is it on the... Okay, refueling's complete. Let's make sure I shut that off before I wonder if I can take my fuel back. I might be able to take my fuel back. Let me try it. Come on. Get stuck onto the bitch. Come on, get up the ladder, you sucker. You're trying to crush my head. There we go. All right. Cats are also sitting on my lap, which isn't helpful. Okay. Humidity sensor, is it on here? Yeah, it's on here. It's right there. All right, so that's good. Refuel, that's done. It's completed, so I can take my fuel back, and the mission's done. So what's going on here? You notice this is all janked up? Oh, I know what happened. Shit, did I screw myself? I did. I think I screwed myself here. I might have to make a new save. This is my fault. I put in the wrong seed, and then I put a new seed in, and I think what it did was delete the actual oil rig. That's, I think, my fault. I'm going to have to redo the save. That's fine. I'll redo the save at some point. Because I then moved the oil rig, so I wonder if... Yeah, that's what it did. It spawned all that bullshit on the oil rig, and then it moved the oil rig. That's not good. That was my fault. All right. I was wondering if you could do that, move the vehicles after the save is started. I don't think you can. All right. I think there are certain times when, like, modding's not a, you know, it's... The game has such scope, it adds to it. Like Kerbal, for example. Like, there are a lot of parts in Kerbal. And then it's like, do I want to do some really kind of ridiculous things like space planes? Sure, and that way I need to have beyond the capabilities of it. Bearing 30. But, like, you know, I think they could do some incremental changes to some of these things that would really improve. So what I need to do is go check these locations, because I changed my seed, and I think that screwed my save, which really isn't a big deal, because what I'll do is I will take the coal, which is 1,000, give myself an extra $2,000. I'll despawn all the vehicles, get all my money back, start a quick new save, and it really isn't that big of a deal. It's really pretty quick. Like, I get people get frustrated having to redo their saves, but it really does not take a lot of time. So I'll do that because I screwed my save up with moving those islands. Because one thing I wanted to see is, can I manually put these islands where I want? Because say, for example, I want this island, I want it way the hell down here. That would be fantastic to me, to have like an island the size of this down here and make it a fishing island where it has a small airstrip, it has a base to spawn large fishing vessels, and the most profitable fishing is around this island. And so people were complaining that they'd have to go all the way out here to get profitable, not profitable, they're all profitable. The problem is they wanted the most expensive fish, because most must mean bettas. And so they were annoyed they'd have to go like 40 minutes travel time there, 40 minutes travel time back. I get that. That makes sense. But what you could do is you have a little island here. You fly your airplane out here, land on the grass strip. You go out on your boat, and all of the best fishing is right around here. So you quickly do some really good quality fishing. And you come in, and then you load it onto your plane and fly it away. And that is interesting. And it gets your airplanes involved, and so you have to actually, you know, take it off the boat, put it on a truck, drive it over your airplane, load your airplane with fish, fly the airplane over to the mainland, and then sell your fish there where they're more profitable. And the most profitable fish would be near population centers. So, you know, wherever you're going to have a population center is where the fish would be the most profitable, because people eat fish. You know. Yeah, I think it's silly, though, making those cheats where you just kind of like herder. You know, you know, because like people used to do it on this island all the time. Where the hell is it? This island, like you could literally drag a hose and buy fuel here and sell fuel there and make $1 billion. And herder, I made $1 billion. Okay, why? That's stupid. There's no effort in there, you know. So it's like, I get you can do it, but it's silly. Like at that point, why not just open up your text file and cheat money in? You know, I don't see the appeal of cheating in money really. You know, there should be like the whole point is to build a cool vehicle to go do actual things. Like, how is that fun to like? Oh, I made a pipeline to make $1 million. Herder. That's pretty silly as far as I'm concerned. I don't see any sort of fun or utility in that. It's just silly. Like you want to do it for silliness sake, great, but I just find it to be silly. You know, people like, oh look, I can make my number go to 1 billion in 20 minutes sitting here selling fuel. Okay, I can go in my text file and type in $28 trillion into my text file and have that in my game too. But is that any fun? No, it's silly. I'm so mean. Well, you can go watch somebody else if you like. I just like explain the appeal to me. Explain the appeal of essentially sitting there and like, you know, would money have any value in real life if I could hand you $1 and you handed me back 2 and we did that all day? No, money would have no value. You know, the point of an economy is you want it so that you put in time and effort and use your machines, which are input costs, to get a profitable, you know, a profit back from that input. That's the point of it all. And so like you simulate that in game. What is this? Like I just don't get how that's fun. Like just seeing a number go up and down, like what's that? How's that fun? Like I can make a game where, you know, you push a button and yeah, the number goes up. That's not fun. What's fun is like, oh, I built a vehicle to go mine, and then I went and mined, and I got ore. And I was able to sell that ore. That fun. All right, what are we doing here? Let's see. 1 casualty east of the chemical plant to the hospital. All right, we got him. You know, for example, it was why I think it was good the devs fixed the crab problem. Like, literally, you drop a crab plot in, and 2 seconds later, it was full. Like, that is an infinite, like, money generator. I know Urine Wind likes to... no, not Urine Wind. Who was doing it? Who does that? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, there's somebody who builds... I'm trying to think. He built one. Essentially a money printer for one of the challenges. You know, and that's fine if that's what you like to do, but I see no appeal in it. I don't find it entertaining. It's just like Fan Jerry. Fan Jerry builds these. They're very cool. They're cool vehicles. They're cool from a design standpoint. You know, I get that, but it just prints money. Like he'd put his pots in the water and bring them up, and it makes $1 million, and he automated it so you do nothing. Well, then people will complain they're bored. Yeah, you're bored because you didn't do anything. You just sat there and watched a number go up. Like, how's that entertaining? Like, you know, the actual doing the job is what's fun, you know? Sitting there watching a number go up is remarkably boring. You know, like, I've got a lot of stock, and my stock, I just watch it go up some days, and it's like, yeah, that's great. I don't get a sense of satisfaction out of that money going up. When I go to work, I get a sense of satisfaction when my money goes up because I've done something laborious to make that money, and that gives me a sense of satisfaction. Now, I'm glad that my stock money goes up, but it doesn't give me any sense of satisfaction. Just glad I have the extra money. You know, and so at the end of the day, the game, you want to get a sense of satisfaction. Part of it is I did something, I built something, and then I went and did some work, and out of that work, I got some money, which then allows me to buy more toys that I've built and get more satisfaction out of those as well, you know, and do something different. All right, good. Oh, Jesus. Gotta be careful in this one. This one I will break my ankles. All right, good. That was a good little extra bit of money out of there. I think there's one maybe right behind the hospital here. I think there's one on the other side. I'm trying to get some crates here. It's so early in my game here. I want to get some extra cash money. Yeah. It's like the infinity generators of any nature is just, it doesn't interest me. You know, now for example, the coal, I could spend 5 hours doing coal and not make a lot of money because the economy is not really great the way they set it up. Now, one thing you could do is you say, okay, coal is only viable if you do it in a large enough economy of scale. And so the economy of scale is having enormous vehicles to do tons and tons and tons of coal very quickly. So for example, like that's one of the reasons I built the larger excavator, larger front end loader was, you know, each bucket is worth say $5,000. So, and then each truckload is worth like $50,000, say, for example. And so because of that, you now have it so that you can make a train load in an hour. And so you can make reasonable money in an hour. And that gives you a good scalability where, yes, early game money is hard to come by. Later game, you know, it's easier to come by, but your toys are also getting more and more expensive. Set that waypoint. One thing too is I'm getting more into Lua now, as I can make some more advanced Lua screens for, say, example, my bearing panel for this. Yeah, explain to me what they can do about the server performance in multiplayer, though. Like, I don't know much about coding or any of this shit, but it's like, you know, like, what are they gonna do? Because, like, one of the ways that, you know, games that have good multiplayer performance is, one, they have a set of stock standard vehicles. And those stock standard vehicles are essentially faked, where they have very few polygons. Part of the problem is, like, you can have an entertaining multiplayer experience. We do it all the time in mining. But we have a limited number of vehicles, a limited number of people. I host it on my good PC with my good internet. And you get a lot of people who have absolutely toes internet that they have really, really terrible internet. And they want a ton of people with terrible internet to occupy the same space. And that's never going to work, you know? So, like, what are the devs going to do? Like, the only thing they could really do is, one, take more things out of the game. They already did that, right? People complained about multiplayer performance, so the devs took floating ice out of the game. They took it away. We used to have underwater vegetation. We used to have deeper oceans. These things were all taken away because people said, I want better performance in multiplayer, and they did that by taking those things away from everybody so that somebody could play in a Wild West multiplayer server and have a better time. And, like, what do you want them to do? Like, you know, and the other thing, too, is, like, people complain about multiplayer performance, but it's also, like, they want to go spawn 10 Titanics. Well, it was never intended to be in the game, the Titanic. You know, there's a reason why there's a workbench size limit. There's a reason why there's a file size limit. And everybody and their brother keeps trying to get around these limits, and then they complain, ooh, laggy. It's like, yeah, they told you this is how big a boat can be in the game to not be too laggy, and then people, you know, do that. So I would love to hear people say, what are they going to do? Oh, make multi-threading. Okay, yeah, show us how we take the current game engine and make it multi-threaded. Please, I'd love to see it, you know. You know, and the other thing, too, is since I have to redo this world, I could show it when we get back to base. I'll quickly take a snapshot of... I got to bring all of my vehicles back, and we'll give ourselves some money and redo the save, because I did screw up this save. So, like, if you didn't understand what I was talking about, when I first spawned this world, my seed which is should be a map, right? Where's my seed number? How do you bring up your seed number again? I forget. My seed number was not the right one, so things were in the incorrect spots. So what I did was I put in the seed that I normally work with, and it moved the things, but it didn't move, like, you saw stuff floating. That's because it moved some of the objects, but it didn't move all the objects. And so now my world's broken. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remake my world here and fix it. Okay, there's, yeah, 192.837 is what it should be. And it was something else. I forgot, I put the wrong number in. And so now my world's not right. So I got to fix that, but I'll quickly despawn all this stuff and fix it. I built a medium boat that I'm having issues figuring out what I should put in it. The best thing that I usually do is I look at real life vehicles, and I look at the diagrams and I see what the real rooms are. And one thing you can do to kind of, you know, cut down the labor of that is, for example, when you would section off the rooms. So let's say that boat has living quarters on deck 3, and you look at the actual diagram of a real life boat that's kind of like yours. And you say, okay, well, they have living quarters here and here. They have a bathroom. They have a galley. They have a pantry here. And so you might not want to bother putting in the pantry, right? So what do? You put a door that says pantry and you lock it. And then maybe later you decide, hey, you know what? I'd like to make it so you can go in the pantry. Well, then you fill out the pantry with, you know, paint blocks and put stuff on the wall so it looks like, you know, shelves of food. And you then unlock the door to the pantry, right? So that way you can build your ship. It looks like it's alive and full of room and spaces, and then later you can finish it, you know. But that's usually what I do. I look at a ship that is like mine, or I've already, like, usually when I start a ship, I've already got inspiration from a real ship, and then I mimic the rooms that are in there. You know, and then if you want to gamify it to what do I want to do in this game, for example, like, which one was it? You know, like, for example, Triton. Triton was a research vessel, is what it was based off of, and it had insane amounts of crew quarters. Well, I didn't need 4,000 crew quarters. I needed, like, 5 crew rooms. So I made them bigger and more spacious, because I didn't need that many spaces. And then I wanted to have drones be able to fly off Triton, so I made a drone control room. And so one of the rooms that would be used for something else was a drone control room. And so that's usually what I tell people when they ask, like, what can I add to my ship? Like, look at what the real ship has and add those things, because that's going to give you the best results. All right, so we're going to do this. All right, we are going to... All right, we're going to bring all our vehicles back here. Because I have to fix this world. That should be all my vehicles back. Okay, so we have 133,776. So 133,776. Okay. So we have all our money back here. All right, so what we're going to do is let's go to the main menu. And we're going to rebuild our world. Me sad, I can't build a modular engine. Follow my modular engine tutorial series. And if you follow the modular engine tutorial series, you too can build a modular engine. I'll link the playlist. And then once you have that knowledge of how to build modular engines, you have it forever. So let me find the series here. Try to do 2 things at once. All right, let's go ahead and make a new world with the correct seed. Okay, it's going to be career. We're going to start at spy cakes. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go into add-ons and we're going to deselect everything. AI paths, default AI aircraft, default AI, default building missions, cargo missions. Does anyone know off the top of their head? I do not want those cargo trailers. So I don't want cargo trailers. So are the cargo missions, does anyone know off the top of their head, are the cargo missions those trailers? Because I don't want the trailers because I use my own system. Creatures, yes. Let's keep that off for now and see if somebody's got an answer. Default delivery zones, I want dock bulbs. Elevators, I never have on. This is another one I wonder if is causing lag for people. They say, oh, after a certain amount of time, there must be a memory leak. I have lag. I wonder if it's the elevators getting stuck because I'd never have that issue recently, in a long time. And I always shut my elevators off because it's just another thing to maybe get screwed up. Default landmarks, default mission locations, natural disaster missions off. Display timers, rewards, oil spill missions I don't want. Base time frequency minutes are good. So default mission locations on. Mission transport locations. Yeah, why would your engine 4 point is that a decimal 59? Probably because it's overloaded. Sergeant, do you know about those new trailers? I don't want them in my world. Is it mission transport locations? Delivery zones should be for the containers. I can just try it. I can test that out real quick. I think it's mission transport. I'm not sure, man. This is tough to find that. Zones Arctic I want. Arid I want. Main I want. No moon. Underwater I'll take. Natural disasters can stick it up its own ass. Default oil survey I want. Railroad signals. Resource storage I want. Trading. What is this sort of mission zones? I don't know. No tutorial that. Yeah. Is it the car? It's got to be these cargo missions. I'm going to leave that off. And I can fix it if I want. That's all fine. Okay, so that's good. Let me see if I can find this for you. All right, there's the modular engine tutorial series. Go learn how to build modular engines. And then you'll have that knowledge. Yeah, Sergeant needs to get a better PC is what Sergeant needs. All right, first load in takes the longest, and we're going to let it cook for a minute to make sure everything spawns in properly. And then we're going to save it, and we'll start editing our save. I'm going to go get a drink while this is loading in. I'll be right back. All right, here we go. All right, that looks good. That's fine. All right, let's move around and make sure that everything is in here that I need. All right, we have those. All right, so what was going on was, if you remember, I had that oil rig here. It was right here. And that was a different seed. And so shit was floating in the air. because of that. So that is now fixed. I should have make sure I have my all my little oil bullshit there, and then I'm gonna save this. CBS 26 blank. All right, let's go ahead and save. We're going to find CBS 114 scene. All right, here's the game file we just had. Let's go ahead and find creative menu true. There it is. All right. And then I want to go ahead and I'm going to open up the one we just made, which is the CBS 26 blank. And what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to save. And then we want to go. There we go. That's going to be the one we're going to edit. All right. All right, we've got this save up now. And we're going to do game mode settings. It should be under game mode settings, right? Game mode settings. Okay, game mode settings. That's fine right there. All right, creative menu true. We just added a creative menu. The other thing was we had 133,776. What did I just do? Okay, I'm just moving around. That's fine. Hopefully I didn't screw something up. Okay, creative menu true. And then currency, we had 133. 133,776. All right, good. That's done. Go ahead and save that. All right, that is now saved. Let's go ahead and open up the game, and I want to test something. And we will see. So one thing I want to check is I got rid of that. I don't want those. I don't want the trailers. I like that the devs added the cargo. What I didn't like was that they chose a standard, and I don't like that they made their own trailers. What I would, and I get why people wanted that. I don't like it. What I prefer is that the devs added pallets that we can load on our own trailers. That's what I would like. Plates, fuck off with that. No clip teleport. That's good. Map players. Okay, so I know there should be some of those bullshit trailers here. Yeah, I would much rather have them added pallets. All right, so the trailers are usually sitting right there. I don't see them. So I think, but I think the problem is I want containers. I don't see containers. So did I screw myself? Because I definitely want 100% want containers. I 100% want containers. So I might have to go fix this if there's no containers. Maybe I have to live with that shit. Because I don't see containers and I want containers. Yeah, I'm not seeing containers. Shit. All right. Let's see. All right, that looks good. 1, 2, 8, 3, 7. Thermal spy cakes. Yeah, default AI aircraft. Default AI is fine. Default building missions, cargo missions. And the bot going over here. Default creatures, that's fine. Delivery zones. I had delivery zones on. Let me check the last file. I'm pretty sure I had this delivery zones on. Paths, AI aircraft, AI mission zones, building creatures, mission zones, delivery. Yes, so they were on. Dock bollards. Yeah, see, I didn't see any containers, so let's try something here. Let's go to here. This usually doesn't work, but let me try something here. Okay, that's not going to do what I want. All right, that's fine. Dock bollards, elevators I don't want. Fish survey, forest fire missions, landmarks, mission locations, natural disasters off, those on, oil spills off. Default mission locations, that's good. Transport locations, zones Arctic, arid, Maine. Underwater, natural disasters no. Oil survey, railroad signals, resource storage and trading, mission zones. Default tutorial weapons and event zombies. So the only things I have off are no zombies, no weapons, no tutorial, no natural disasters, no moon missions, no elevators. All right. That looks good. 192-837. Good. All right, we can work with that. Yeah, that'd be neat. Like one thing I would like is I like that there are a bunch, like a container port where it looks lively, like we have. That's fine. But what would be cool is, I'd like your idea, the ability to spawn. So what would be cool is to have a warehouse, right? And we have plenty of these spaces on the map that could work as warehouses. Actually, I really like this idea. That's good, Sergeant. Let me see, warehouse, houses, spawn pallets, pallets and cargo. This is a good idea by Sergeant because like there are already these spaces in the world, and so what they could do is they could let me see CBS 26 okay. And so essentially you could go there, you go into one of those computers and you say, I want these shipping containers, or I want these pallets, or I want these bits of, for example, let's say that you had like some irregular cargo. Let's say like for example a huge wind turbine blade and it has a bunch of rope anchors on it, and you have to, or a couple hard point connections, and you have to actually make a trailer to carry it. That would be really neat. Let's get this done real quick here. Blank is what I called it. Okay. Okay, base island, that's good. All right, we want to go here and we want to grab, create a menu true. Like, I get why people get frustrated when you have to restart, but it really doesn't take very long to do. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great idea because they already have the technology for the terminals, right? For the fish locations and for the oil information. And so you'd essentially walk up to the terminal and say, hey, I want a pallet. And so, like, let's say they had a list of pallets, right? And it was kind of like you have a pallet going from FJ Warner to Urine Wind Power Plant. And let's say there are 6 pallets there that you could take. Well, if you have a big enough trailer or train or whatever, you take all 6. And maybe there are a couple stops you want to make, you know, and you take all the pallets that you want. Okay, good, they're in now. All right. Yeah, that's what I wanted. All right, that's there. Okay, good. So see the parking lot? That's what I was hoping to avoid because I use my own system, and I think my system is not necessarily superior, but it's more what I want. And I don't want these sitting around the world causing problems. I think they did a good job designing them, but I don't want to use that other system. I could, like, because I like having, for example, simulated air brakes and shit like that. So I want that. All right, let's go in here. Let's go back to spy cakes. Yeah, but that would be kind of neat. Is like so, kind of on the topic that Sergeant's talking about. Like there was a lot of cool places down here, like Serpentine's Train Yard. You can buy this, so that's not actually a good spot for it. But there are a lot of these warehouses. Like here, you have Karn Industries. And so, like, you could go down to Karn Industries and you could go in this building and you go up to a terminal and you say, hey, I want these 3 pallets that go from Karn Industries to your and Wind Power Plant. And boom, they appear behind you. And then you go get a forklift and you load them on your truck, you know. So that's a good idea by Sergeant. I like that. That cuts down a lot of the problems with it, too. Yeah, don't do seawater cooling. The flow rates are way too low. Local components, lightning, engine overheating, NPC damage, all that's good. All the infinites are off. I want no clip and teleport off for now. That looks good. All right. All right, so let's go do some more money-making stuff, and I need to make some money. Oh, I didn't notice they did some new designing on those. That's pretty neat. These are all new, huh? That's going to FJ, nay. It's going to JSI, nay. That's going to Soar North, nay. Komodo is not bad. Komodo's right. Is this Komodo? I can't. Komodo, yeah, I can't remember. This is new. Hook and catch, I like that. Soar South, North. I'm just not getting enough money to go to Komodo, as far as I'm concerned for right now. $2,000 to run one out to Komodo. JSI. I like the new design of those, though. That's cool. They've done a good job with, like, updating those containers and done a good job on these updates. They're making a lot of really great additions to the game. All right, let's sleep and get some missions. I need to make some cash. People keep complaining they're having problems with, for example, filling up the vehicles. That's one of the first refueling ones I've done. And I had no issues with it, but I also, like, I properly vent my system, so it could be that. All right, what's this? Refuel the fishing boat. So we'll try another refueling mission, see how that goes for us. Should be fine. And then what we were doing in the last career build series was as I kind of improve my vehicle as we go. So let's try to keep that up if we can. Yeah, it's going to drop from the heavens. All right, that's good. See if we can jump on it this time. All right, there we go. We're in. All right. Yeah, so like you see how shit's just kind of hanging off that, and that is me kind of waiting to improve and add some stuff to my boat here. So, you know, if you watch the last career build series I was doing, I built this boat, and each episode or each trip out, I would try to add something small to the boat so that eventually, you know, I'm not spending 20 hours just building my boat. You know, I find I need this thing, so I add it. I need this thing, so I add it. So what we could do is we could do a little bit of building here and add some new stuff to the boat. That'd be kind of fun. We could do a quick Lua panel. Um, I might. It'd be probably be a pretty good thing to work on a real quick, real quick. Everything's real quick in my head. Um, multi-function panel where we can switch through pages, and that would be pretty good for the boat. Yeah, those containers are new. I didn't notice them. If that 102C, it's not going to cause any problems, but um, so when they did pressurization, so this is the thing, people are like, oh, they ruined all the shit with pressurization. They had some things in there that were, yes, they were not balanced correctly, they were problematic, but people also, oh shit, stand by. Stand by, somebody tried to call me, I'm just checking out. Sorry, I might have to go make a phone call, but I can do it while I'm driving. So anyway, the hell was I saying? Yeah, so doing a multifunction page on the boat, I think would be good because, for example, I want to do a new, you know, so like what I was thinking is you put in a screen and it has speed, depth, heading, and then you can switch to a bearing panel, and it will show your bearing, and you can set the heading for your autopilot. I think that would be fun. Yeah, so the pressurization update is what kind of what I was talking about. And so one of the problems they had was there were some realistic things that people didn't understand were realistic, and therefore they didn't account for. And so, for example, when the pressurization update first came out, you could pump huge quantities of fluid through the fluid ports, and the problem is once you hit 2 atmospheres, you kill the player. And that makes perfect sense, right? If you were standing in a room and I very rapidly pumped it full of air, it would kill you very quick. Your ears would blow. You would start having problems with your lungs being able to take in the pressure fast enough. You'd cause lung damage, and then you can't breathe, and then you die, okay? Real simple, right? These things happen in real life, right? Same thing if you quickly reduce the pressure in a room, you end up causing, you know, the fluids on people to boil, and you can't breathe if you don't have enough positive pressure on your lungs, right? So you die. And so, for example, one of the problems is people were not ventilating the rooms, so they would pump in air or liquid into a room that they were also in, and as that liquid starts pushing up on the air, it compresses the air, you die, right? And so you saw a lot of people complaining, boo, game bad, me die, okay? And so that was frustrating to people, understandably. But the answer was ventilate your room. So if you had let's say you have one fluid port pushing in 100 liters per second of air, and you have another fluid port that vents the room, you'd have 100 liters going in and 100 liters going out every second, and the pressure would stay the same. And so you would not die. But that would mean that people had to know this and had to go make sure they ventilated their rooms. And so a lot of people weren't doing this. So one of the solutions devs put in there is, okay, let's reduce the amount of liters per second that can go through a fluid port. And there are a lot of downsides to that. For example, it takes you a very long time. This is a new boat too, isn't it, Sergeant? I haven't seen this boat before. I think some of these boats are new. Um, and so people complained because, oh, now it takes forever to sell their diesel. Yes, that sucks. But I think it's also a consequence of, people wanting to have not die all the time by overpressure in a room, where the real answer is, learn to ventilate your room. But you got to understand that a lot of people have no idea how any of this shit works, and so the devs have to make it so that the average person can play, and so they often have to do it at the expense of other things. That's power. Where's fuel? Probably on the other side. Yep, there it is. All right. Come on, sucker. So it's an imperfect fix for a problem, and you never know how much effort it's going to take to, you can't, I hate to say it, but dumb the game down too much, but you also can't make the game so you have to, be an engineer to play, period, so there's a balance. Yeah, this is a newer boat. I've never seen this. I think the devs did like a sneaky ad a bunch, which is good, People were getting pissy that, oh my God, they always have to announce all these things they do and they want credit for the things they're doing. And then so they put some silent stuff in and they're like, oh, when did they put this in? And, so it's like, I think they cared too much about what the general person was saying, frankly. You're just like, you do you, boo. Keep working on the game quietly and ignore what all the jackasses are saying, frankly. All right, what do we got here for just refuel? Okay, let's see if this one works. No, why am I still on display cap? I am, okay. Buy for Dolphin. Yeah, Delta P issues. Yeah, so there were a bunch of Delta P issues. Some of it was absolutely balancing in the game, but also some of it was, some of it was because of, game issues. There are game issues, but it was also like people's understanding issues, and instead of them going and learning these things, they just like, boo-hoo, game bad. And I think that's a silly take, is boo-hoo, game bad. Like, there are absolute things that they could balance better and do better, but it's like, and you could also learn some of these simple mechanics. Like, for example, let's find some Delta P. Delta P. You see Delta P. So, like, they have videos, these Delta P diving safety videos. And if I search Delta P images, you see people getting sucked into little tubes and getting killed and crushed and killed. People literally boiling and having their flesh ripped off because of Delta P issues. These things happen IRL. You can search YouTube for people in pressure chambers where the pressure drops and they have the gases or the liquids boil on their tongue, and then if you get too low of a partial pressure, you can't breathe anymore. And so it's like, these are all realistic things you have to worry about. And if you have some minor understanding of how pressure works in game or in life, you can figure these out. All right. I'm just stealing some fuel back, especially because I'm starting again. I don't have tons of fuel, so. I kind of like, this is neat, the stippling on that, but it's sonar noisemaker, so I wonder how much this costs. Because like, some people will use all these decorations that are just like wicked expensive, but this is an interesting setup. See if there's a fuel gauge. I want to see how much is left in here. Speed, fuel. Yeah, so I've done 2 of these refueling missions and they both worked. So I've had no issues with that. So I'm going to put some things on my to-do list here for the series. Okay, let's improve boat. I want to build another boat I can sleep on. Okay. So like if I'm going to build a new boat, I want it to have new purpose. So I want it to be a little bit bigger. I want it to have sleeping quarters. I am going to use stuff I've done in previous career build series because like especially the stuff that takes me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. I'm not starting a new home ship. I'm going to use Tethys. Tethys is getting diesel engines. I know much to Darkside Tripper's chagrin. I'm getting rid of all that steam bullshit and we're going to diesel. Oh, that's actually a good idea, Sergeant. You know what I'm gonna do? If the hose length was long enough, I would tow this bitch back while I'm sucking up fuel. But okay, it's not going too slow. It's not bad. Like some people are just goddamn impatient. But yeah. So we can talk about some of this. So like for example, for me to build another center console boat is pretty ridiculous, I think, as far as I'm concerned. But building one that I can sleep on, that adds new functionality. So what does a new boat need to do for me? Well, one, I want sleeping quarters on there. And the reason for that is I could sleep in a bed right now, get new missions, and then disconnect and go do a mission. Okay, so that's the reason why I want that. And then the other thing is like I don't want to just do a boat for that, so like it needs to be able to tow, it needs to be able to you know, I don't want to build something so big right now that I can put secondary craft on it, but like maybe something that can tow and that can sleep on, or you know, maybe a tanker boat would be a good one, right? Tanker would actually be a good idea. Tanker boat. All right, tanker would be a good idea. That's a good idea. Because one thing we could do, right, is we can buy diesel here, right, for $2, and we have a diesel cell here, right? We could tanker some via truck and go here. That's a good money maker. And we could also load it on a truck. I've also done this with hoses. I think that's cheaty and shitty. But we could drive our truck up here, get some fuel, drive it in, despawn it, and then we could take a boat and we could take the boat over here and sell it. That's another option to do. We could also tanker by, say, for example, going down and selling some oil here. And then we could buy diesel for the trip back. Actually, we don't want. There's no need for us to buy diesel here because it's also just $2, and we have this pump here, so there's no reason to really do that. But let's find a cheap place to buy oil. Think here. Yeah, so we could buy oil here for 50 cents and sell it there. So a tanker is something I want to build. So let's do that. Tanker boat. Build a fresh boat. That's probably the best thing. A tanker that we could sleep on. And if we have a small skiff, so tanker, let's do small ship. And what I want in this tanker is I want the ability to launch a rescue boat. And maybe just the lifeboat so I don't have to build a new one. Lifeboat. And that way, for example, what we can do is we can put the tanker on autopilot, and then as it's going down to here, we can go do some missions, and then we can come back and we can join up with it. We can fill it, or plug it in, fill it. So say we go down, we plug it in, we let it start to fill with oil, and we go off and do missions. So where you see people whining that, oh my god, I have to sit there for 4 hours, well, guess what? Go do something else. Go do some missions. Put a keep active block on your ship, and guess what? It will keep filling, And then when you come back, it's full. You load the lifeboat on there, and then you put it on autopilot, and it goes over here, and maybe you launch your ship and go do some of that. All right, so let's look where we're at. I'm not going to sit out here all day sucking a tiny bit of fuel out of this sucker. That's a waste of time, but we got a good bit, so that's not too bad. All right, good. Oh, stop it, you bastard! Stop. All right, good. Let's get out of here. So yeah, so that's something that would be a cool thing to do, because it would really set us up where, you know, we have a boat now that allows us to sleep on, get missions. We'll be able to launch some sort of rescue craft while having a goal of actually trying to where our goal is to actually try to get to do some fuel sales. That would be a good way to make some money. And it would also be like, you know, like I said, we could leave it on autopilot. We can do missions. So that would be kind of cool. Let's see. 183. 183. So, like, you know, you can go over my tutorial for the bearing panel. And you can see how we can navigate in this fog, no problem, because we have that bearing panel. So 173 to that waypoint, and we have 179 there. We're 0.3 away, so we're coming up close. We know we're 0.3. We're very close, so we're going to extend it out. And we'll bring up the new one. That's going to be 222. That's more this way. 222. All right, 22, that's good. 235, that's going to be 0.3, okay. So somewhere out here. All right, we're getting close to this. Let's go ahead and move it over here. 125. Well, 120. All right, good. It's got us going there. And that's about a mile away, nautical mile away. All right, it's starting to see base there. Let's see, 125, 125, 0.6 miles. So you can see how foggy it is, and with the simple bearing system, and I find this to be more engaging than a moving map, because you just be sitting here watching, oh yeah, just turn left a little bit. And one thing I found was, like, you know, I used to drive commercially, and so, like, if you were watching the GPS the whole time, you never knew how to get anywhere. And so what I used to do was, the first trip to a new place, I would use the GPS. And then the second trip, I would not look at it. And I would put it in to make sure I didn't get lost, but I wouldn't look at it. I would look outside. And what you'll notice is the GPS will tell you, you know, your exit is in 1 mile. Well, then you're already looking outside, and you start to see all the scenery around you, and that tells you, hey, when I see this scenery, I know I need to make my exit in a mile. And so you pay attention. And then you start getting used to the exit numbers because you're actually looking, oh, there's my exit. My exit number is 36. So then the next time you go, you can be spacing off, looking at beautiful scenery, listening to the radio, and then, oh, I see some familiar scenery and my exit number. That's my exit, and you get off, you know. And you can be much more engaged with what you're doing instead of, you know, just friggin' eyeballing a GPS. And so it's the same reason why I don't like that in the game, is I'd much rather do it myself. All right. All right, good. So that's good. We got that done. We got a fair bit of cash because of all the money we made in the other one we just pushed forward. Let's see what I have for fuel trucks. Let's go ahead and try to do one of these fuel runs down there. I'm trying to crack some cash in. I want to keep moving. I want to get... Because like one of the things, if you watch the beginner career build series, one of the things that is good with that is I go over, like, you should start planning for fuel right away. We have 4,000 liters, which is a good bit of fuel, but it's not a ton of fuel. And we got to be careful that we have plenty of fuel. So let's go ahead and, or both have plenty of fuel, but also have plenty of money. So let's go ahead and grab, this is my tanker. Do I have a spawner in there? Let's look. I can't remember. I don't want to spawn in here. So what I can do is grab the diesel and go to 0. And then what I want to do is I want to move this forward. And then I want to spawn the B. And so, like I said, we're going to use some of the stuff I've done in previous series. I'm not building everything brand new. That's absolute lunacy. And again, one of the reasons why I like using my own stuff is I have simulated air brakes. I have all sorts of my own cool stuff that more simulates realistic tractor-trailer driving. And I forget what the name of the other system is. It's a cool system. It does some cool things, but it's not what I personally want. Because like that air hose actually works. It actually pumps air from this truck into this trailer to shut the brakes off. You know, and so that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty damn neat, you know. And that's what I want with, you know, and I get why a lot of people wouldn't want that. So, you know, you can have what you like. All right, we should have plenty of money here. Yeah, we still have 103,000 left. So we're going to fill this up with diesel. We'll go sell some diesel. We'll make some money. You know, and then, because like I said, I like to get some of my other vehicles in, Tethys, all these others. I like to buy some bases. And one of the important things is thinking about your fuel as you're going here. That's something a lot of people, they take that for granted there, that they have to worry about fuel. And so if you start thinking about your fuel right off the bat, you know, you'll make sure you don't run out. This is going to be a pain in the ass to remember. Let's see. Pumping out. All right, there we go. So there is a rhyme or reason to all these valves. You don't just open them all. I know some people are like, oh, press every button and it should start. But the whole kind of the rhyme or reason to these valves is, for example, it's got one pump. And so in order to pump in and out, you're essentially sucking from the tank, going through the pump, and then out the hose. Or the other way is you're sucking, it's coming in and you're pushing it into the tank. But this has already got 3,900 liters on here. Like, people are complaining about slow pump times. Let's see how long this takes to fill. This is pretty damn fast, man. Like, here, let's go inside and see what the capacity is. I can't remember myself. So, like, the other thing, too, is to give yourself better play sessions. Let's find this here. We can hold 28, and we're already... So, yeah, we have about a third of the liquid is already in this tank in seconds. I don't know what, like, people's malfunctions are with some of this... They think it takes forever to load things. Like, look, we're already, like, more than a third full. Anyway, yeah, so one way that, I like to play my play sessions so that I really enjoy career is come up with something to do, come up with some plans, come up with some short goals, some longer-term goals, and you'll find that you kind of get some more fulfillment from the game. And so, like, right now, I'm filling up my truck. Well, at any point, I could get a mission. And I'm going to drive this truck over and I'm going to sell it. Well, I don't have to stand there and babysit it while it sells. I can go do a mission. And so that's one of the reasons why I like having no clip on is I can go no clip over and go do a mission. And the way I kind of justify it is I'm changing characters. I am the person running the truck, and then I become a different person who's going to go do a mission. And so I could do two things, and it's more like I'm part of a big organization, or part of a couple organizations, and I'm going to run over and do, well, that fuel's being done. I'm going to go run over and do a different job. And so it's kind of like when you're doing a rescue mission on a big ship, right? You're a captain of the ship. Well, you're not going to go jump out in the boat. This isn't Star Trek. You don't go on every mission. You stand on the boat and you just command the boat. Well, you've changed characters now to one of the people who runs the rescue boat, And so it's kind of a way with no clipping and stuff, you can change characters and go do a different job and be a different person. And then still benefit the greater organization and get the money you want. All right, good. So that should be just about full. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, this is filling pretty fast. Like, I think it's just the way some people have their system set up is why it's taking them so long to fill stuff. This is almost full. See what our money looks like. Yeah, we still got a good bit of money. Yeah, and then so the drilling will commence here soon. If you notice, I don't have any really good terrestrial drilling spots until I get down to FJ, so that's probably going to start at FJ. The other thing, too, is I could try building a station for doing refining, go buy the oil and refine it myself. I can't remember. I think... No, I don't have any pumps in here. There are no pumps in here. Yeah, this has no pumps. This one pump is doing it all. So all this is valves. I have no pump on this one. The far-fetched idea, but what if you could program the AI to work as workers and have them run missions? Yeah, I could see that as all right. Like, I think it's I don't know. I don't know if they can do it. That's the thing. Like, I'm not opposed to it. I don't know if it's something the game engine can do. Like, for example, like, you can do some of that in Farming Sim, but that's also built to do that. All right, that's good for now. Let's go ahead and start plumbing the back tank. This is filling damn fast. I really like don't see what the complaint is at the moment. Oh, thank you much. Yep. Appreciate that. Glad you like the look of the tanks. But yeah, there's no pumps in here. This is all just that one pump filling it up. Yeah, that would be interesting. Like, you know, one thing you could do to kind of theory craft it too is like, I'm not a huge fan of some of the vehicles that automatically do everything for you. But like one thing you could do is you could make a say, you know, we were in the farming topic earlier. You could make a combine and you could use GPS coordinates to have it go up and down the field and you park an NPC in it so that it looks like somebody's in there, you know. You know, like you're giving one of your people the job to do. It'd be interesting. I think that's another good idea. That's a really good idea from Sargent using like going in a warehouse and spawning pallets. And that gives me the idea of, say, for example, like they could put a tiny little shack outside of the airports, and that would be the terminal. And you go in the terminal and say, and so you go on the console, and the console says to you, hey, there are 30 passengers who want to go from Harrison to the Arctic. There are 10 passengers who want to go from Harrison to O'Neill. There are 20 passengers that want to go from Harrison to Ender. There are 15 passengers that want to go from Harrison to Dremore. And so what you do is you pick which one you want, and after you hit enter, those passengers now spawn inside of the little terminal building, and you have them all follow you like NPCs out to the airplane. You have them stop following you, and it's annoying that you would have to manually pick them up and put them in their seats. But who cares? You know, make it so you pick them up and put them in their seats, you know. And that would be a good way to add passenger transport. All right, we are almost out of money here, so I'm just going to pull that. All right. All right. Yeah, so, yeah, that was pretty damn fast. Like, that wasn't all that laborious to me as far as I'm concerned. Let's see which way I want to go. I think we're going to go... We're already facing this way, but we can spin it around. Let's spin it around, go this way. Okay. So if you notice, see the air pressure? I can hear the air pressure going. I have on my TTIS system with the air pressure. And so just like in real life, we're using air pressure to be able to actuate the brakes. And I actually will use like hydraulic pressure. I'll actually use hydraulic pressure for working the dump truck. I want to show you guys, so I'm just going to go to third-person vehicle. But you see I'm backing this in here. All right, there we go. All right, so we got quite a bit of fuel here. We've got like, what is it, 40? No, more than that. 56,000 gallons, or liters rather. Gallons. 56,000 liters of diesel to go sell. So this is actually a really viable base. The coal doesn't make you a ton of money, so you really have to go to huge scales to make coal. And this is something you get in real life too. For example, there are some really low value, high yield commodities. Like, for example, most of farming's like that, right? You have very large tonnages, but they're not worth a lot per ton, and so you need to harvest many, many, many tons in order to make any sort of money. Or you have something that's very valuable, like you get a couple diamonds, you've just made what, the farm would make in a year. So that's kind of cool, you know. We're going to take it easy on this road. We're not trying to ding our shit all up here. I drive like sane people. And this is all transmission doing this work here. This is not a big motor in this truck. This is, I think, maybe a 24-cylinder 1x1. Just trying to read this road. It looked like it was a cliff. This is maybe a 21-cylinder or 24-cylinder 1x1 at most. And so it's less than what one 3x3 would be cylinder. But because it has a proper 18-speed transmission, it can haul, like, literally, I've got tankers that do 250,000 liters with this truck on it, And it's just because it has a good transmission, This is actually a really viable base. I think this, if more beginners started here, there's a lot to like about this base. The ability to spawn a larger ship or a smaller one. There's nothing that precludes you from still doing small stuff. You've got access to that train hangar, which allows you to spawn trains and land vehicles. You see a lot of players, they say, oh, land vehicles suck in this game. I beg to differ. Like, I think, I know people don't like it when you say it's a design issue because they're like, get good, but it's like, yeah, if you design your stuff better, they're going to perform better. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And yes, it's frustrating when you don't know how to do that, but that's the fun of the game, is learning how to design some of the stuff and make better stuff. All right, let's see. I'm going to change up. We've been in night too long, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. Just so you guys can see what's going on. I know it's hard with the stream to see when I'm in night, so. I don't like doing third person myself, but it's a little bit more interesting for you guys to watch. So let me do some more pictures here. All right, get some pictures there. Yeah, that'd be good, Sergeant. I might make a video at some point of some of those too. Yeah, drop down tires or something like that. Like, some people have been doing that, like MN Dave. Like, I made a road railer. If you don't know what a road railer is, it's essentially, I used to drive those trailers around, and it's a trailer for a truck, a semi-trailer, but it also, you can hook up bogies, train bogies to it, and then it acts as the car to a train. And so I've done those before. Those are kind of fun. But, like, look at my venting, too. This is where a lot of people, like, they say, oh, my God, the pumping takes forever. Yeah, well, guess what? Real trailers vent the air out. You have to. It will make it so that you can't pump any liquid in there. That's realistic. Just because you don't understand some of the physics doesn't mean it's wrong either, And it's a great opportunity to learn the physics. It really is. And like, all you have to do is say, hey guys, I don't get why, I'm trying to pump pump liquid in. It's taking a while. Does anyone have any suggestions? Oh, let the air out. Oh, is that a real thing? Oh, cool. Go learn about that stuff. But this is actually a really cool base for starting as a new player, because it's like you're actively going down where, you can move some fuel. You can buy some diesel easily, so that if you you know, don't want to screw around with having to like go make diesel, go buy some. Now this might be hairy, we'll see. This is definitely intended for a boat, so see what I can do here. But again, like we could fret about this, or we could engineer some solutions to this as well. You know, there's plenty of opportunities for me to engineer some solutions to this. That slide did me no good. All right. I'm kind of jackknifed up with this, and I have to kind of go all the way around because of how jackknifed I am. But there's plenty of viability with using land vehicles in this game. All right. All right, so the issue is going to be we can only go 40 meters pulling this, but there are plenty of engineering solutions we have to this. So eventually we're going to hit the hose limit. Yep, so we're at the hose limit, but look at how far it is. It's not far, right? So we could fret about this and we could piss our pants, or we could just come up with a solution. And that's what I think we're going to do, is we're going to come up with a solution here. Quick engineering solution, or we could try to back down this sucker. So I will try to decide what I want to do here. Let's try to get down this if we can. And if that becomes a pain in the ass, like literally all we need to do is make a port to connect it. And you can engineer that solution. Because like the pants pissing people do when they can't figure out a problem is like why don't you make that part of your fun? Is like, oh, I've got to, you know, this is an issue, and let's come up with some cool solution, you know. Instead, they like to pants piss. I'm kind of hung up here, which is not the best. All right, we are gonna do this. All right, second time today we've had to do this, but let's do this. Right there. All right. All right, so again, this is where you see people cry. It's like, don't cry. Let's do donk toe. All right. You're not going to be able to see this. Main island, because I'm in the add-on editor. Mainland quarry, mainland beach. There it is. Okay. We're going to edit objects. And so this is all free, so you don't have to worry about, like, oh my god, this is going to cost me a ton of money. This costs you nothing by doing it with the add-on editor. Yeah, this is completely free to do this, so you just do this for free, and you fix your problems. Okay. Then all you do is you load it, donktow, test location, and bingo, we just brought in our wrecker to fix us. And this cost us nothing. We didn't have to pay for fuel, we didn't have to pay for the vehicle, and if you want to like go take 500 bucks out of your account for having to call the tow truck, that's fun. I do have a pumping car, and the pumping car's whole job is to bridge gaps like this. So we could use the pumping car. Again, you could, like I said, you can shit your pants, or you can just say, hey, you know what? Let's come up with a solution. And I would much rather come up with a solution than shit my pants all the time. You know, it's just, you know, it's an engineering problem. Fix it with engineering. If I remember how to work this. That's good. Supports. Okay. See if I can get it unstuck while I'm trying to also get the winch going. I don't know why the backup alarm's not working on this. Just got it unstuck. That's good. That's there in case I need it. I don't know why this. It's probably this. It's got so much fuel on board. It is pretty damn heavy, so that could be part of it too. So you just kind of lay that up top here like that. If I can get it. There we go. Like that. There's my drop axle on there. Drop the drop axle, get some extra wheels on the ground. Make a good picture. I like some of these situations too because it's like you get some cool pictures and it kind of reminds you of like what you've done in the game, and like some of your screw ups can turn into fun content, you know, for yourself. Up, shit. Yeah, problems here in 2 seconds. All right. All right, what I think I'm going to do is park this up. This isn't a good spot. It's not going to get broken. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to despawn this, and we're going to bring in the pumping truck. And so what we'll do is we'll edit objects, and I'm going to bring in my pumping truck. And so the pumping truck's job is exactly what this is. It's to transfer fuel short distances. I think it's under the mini truck. Let's see, mini truck pump. Okay, here's the mini truck pumping module. So I don't have one spawned with the pumping module, unfortunately. There's the mini truck. We'll put that on up here on the land on the flat, and then we'll grab the pumping module. And that can go right in the back. Hopefully I get them attached without any problems. All right, that's... All right, good. That looked like that spawned all right. So let's go ahead and check on it. So that's what this is for. This is for doing short distance pumping. So I definitely think building a tanker is going to be better for this. Moving the truck, despawning the fuel in the base, and then spawning the tanker is going to be better than trying. And I'm kind of, you know, people could kind of complain. They say, oh my God, you know, you can't drive a truck down a pier to sell fuel. Well, you wouldn't drive a truck down a pier to sell fuel, would you? You would bring a boat to a pier. You would drive a truck to a different place that's designed for trucks. And so, you know, that's kind of, again, they're forcing you to use a boat for this particular sell point. They also have land sell points. All right, so right about here is probably pretty good. Actually, I want this started. I want to keep the engine running. And then what we do here is, that's a hose anchor, and then, okay, good. All right, that goes to the pump. All right, and that should start selling. There we go, we're selling. All right, so that's the whole reason I made this pumping truck is, I think it was a good thing the devs put in the limit of 40 meters. It makes it so you have to do some of the stuff, so you're not carrying a hose, you know, 3 miles, and it just keeps letting you pull a hose for 3 miles. All right, good. So this is going to stay active. We don't have a ton of cash. But what we'll do here is let's make sure we shut off any of the clipping, and let's go quickly search for any sort of you know, treasure chests and shit. Make some money. And then we could go do a mission. We could sleep in this bed to get a mission. So we can kind of use the scenery around us to get missions here. And then we can change characters as we're selling fuel and go get to go do something else, like to go do a rescue mission. So definitely I think it's going to be better to kind of save this place for doing tankering missions with an actual boat. All right, let's read some chat one here. Where's the collection box? I want money. All right, good. So that kind of gets us going there. Money's going to be a little bit slow going in here. I probably should have just not done the back tank because this is going to take a while. And then I don't have any cash to spawn anything. So we could... I mean, I can't do that while this pumper is in. We're making money pretty fast here. Let's go sleep and see if we can't get a mission. What I could do is go despawn the power unit and get some, put the fuel in the base, and then sell it later. And then I get the money back. All right, what's that? All right, an old wagon is in distress requesting assistance. So, old wagon distress requesting assistance, 7,000. Search the area and locate the. So, it's an old wagon. I would say it's on the land. Would that make any sense to people? For it not to be in the land? Okay. So, I'm thinking that's on the land, right? Let's do this. That's the. Okay, that's the leg. I need electricity for that. Okay. All right, good. It'll be interesting. I was gonna leave the trailer and go try to do this mission in the truck. I gotta be careful with this here. This could be very stupid of me. Ugh, getting hung up on shit again. I gotta be careful I don't damage too much shit here. There we go. Alright. Alright, we're out of here. Gonna go try doing this mission, and then we'll go sell the rest of it. That way we can go do something else. I'm having engine problems. I don't know what the dealio is here. I think it looks like what I've had before, where it's that last, where I have to delete the engine and then put it back on. See how it's like stuttering? I had that with one of my builds, and deleting the engine off and putting it back on fresh fixed it. So we'll see. Still working. We'll go for a drive. Because that is 28,000 liters in that trailer. That's going to be $28,000 we make on that. It's $2 a liter we bought it for. So there's essentially around 60,000, 56,000 dollars tied up in that trailer, and we're gonna make an extra $1 per liter. So we'll get a good bit of money back from that. I'll see you later there, MD Daves. Thanks for stopping by. So we'll go try to do this mission right quick. Let's see what the money is on it. 7,000. That's good money. It said a wagon. I would say a wagon is on the land. The likelihood of that sitting in the water, probably slim. And then there's a hospital right by there, so we should be able to do it in this vehicle. Brakes, 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 brakes. Okay, good. I was getting nervous. I was driving too fast. Yeah, I don't know what the stuttering problem is with my engine at the moment. I think it's that thing because I was having that before with some of the other builds, and I delete the engine, put it in fresh, and it'll be fine. I do have to be careful on this road. The sides are very low, and this will jump off the side, so. Currently going 47 miles an hour, so. Don't want to drive too fast or crazy in the here. I don't want any distracted drivers driving, looking at my map while I'm trying to do this either. So, if we do see containers where, you know, like the treasure boxes, money boxes, we're picking those up. We're not going to go too fast. We're going 60 miles an hour. Let's keep it there. It's foggy. It's rainy. And I can kind of see the wagon, I think. Yeah, it's there. Oh, shit. I might have a fire extinguisher in here. Oh, it's a wagon like a car. I thought it was... For some reason, I was thinking like horse and buggy. I was like, is this a new mission? We got a lot of fuel in here to be getting this close to the fire. Alright, good. Let's see. I should have a fire extinguisher in here. Do I not? It's one of my few trucks I didn't put a fire X in. Shit. Alright, we'll go get a fire X if we need to. Ah, damn it, I didn't put a fire X in here. Hi, buddy. Why don't you get away from this bullshit here? Why don't you get away from there? And get in here, please. Thanks. Is there one laying on the deck? There is. Alright, they're a carcass at this point, pretty much. Do we have a fire extinguisher? We don't. Right. I don't know if I can push this out of the way. We're going to try it. I'm going to take it easy because, like, some of these missions are literally static and, like, you put a freight train into them and not go anywhere. So we got to be careful with that. Yeah, this one's static. It's not moving, so that's fucking annoying. What are we going to do with this one? God damn it. This one's annoying already. Am I really going to have to either 3-point this or 10-point this sucker? Or back it down the whole way because I can't push a car out of the way with this truck? That's annoying. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to push this. It's static. You say it's static, it's not moving. Just going to cause myself grief trying to do that. Alright, that's annoying. Let's see. Right, definitely don't have a fire extinguisher in here. We're going to do this. That's some bullshit. That truck needs a fire extinguisher in it. So I don't mind kind of cheating a little bit, seeing that the I can't push this car out of the way with a truck. Alright, so there's my $3,000 for that. Yeah, it's obnoxious. It blocks the road because there's no other... Like, it's kind of cool for a helicopter mission. You could do that as a helicopter mission, but it is kind of obnoxious. Got nothing that can get around there, really. Shit, I gotta back it down. I gotta back all the way down. This sucks. I might be able to get it turned around. Let's see. I have to be careful. Go till we touch wheel. Alright, that's that. Gonna be like an 8-point turn. At least. If I get this stuck sideways, I'm gonna be bullshit. Problem is I gotta get it real fast. I can't switch into a, can't use the crane because the add-on editor is already open, and I'll lose my pump truck. I did damage something under the truck too. There we go. All right. That was annoying. Oh shit. What am I doing? Do I still have weather overridden? No, I have weather overridden off, so. We're going 73 miles an hour too, so if you think this is slow, it's not. Alright, so we got 3 grand off that. We've currently got $11,000, so we sold a good bit of the fuel. We haven't sold all of it, of course. What we're gonna do is go despawn this sucker. Take a boat over, get rid of this dude, and try to get rid of that mission. And what we'll do is put the diesel in the base, and we'll do a tanker over there. I should have a tanker I can use for now. But remember, we wanted to build one, so we could start building a tanker. That would be a fun thing to do. So we'll switch over to the custom game and start building a little bit. That would be kind of fun. We're going to drive like reasonable people and not like goddamn maniacs, so that we don't cause further damage to our vehicle and end up in the sea, which would be very obnoxious. So let's not drive like jackasses. As I drive like a jackass. Oh, do not go in the fucking drink! We just talked about this! Get the fuck out of here! Don't go in the drink! Oh my god, stop! Don't go in the drink, you prick. I gotta hit the key to stop it. Oh my god. We just talked about that stupid shit. Oh my god. It's wigging out because of the stability system. That's why it's wigging out. Oh, that's hilarious. It really is. All right. That is hilarious. You're just like, let's not crash into the sea. Let's bash into some shit. All right. That was pretty funny. All right, we gotta fix some shit, and it might still be in gear, so we gotta be careful. Yeah, so one thing I was talking about this build too is this truck has a, on the other version, it has an actual like simulated hydraulic system, so it actually moves diesel to make pressure to operate the pistons for the dump body. So that's something cool. Another cool thing that came from the pressurization major update was you can make some hydraulic systems. You know, hydraulic systems are based off pressure, and you can pressurize liquids and then use those values to then make a hydraulic system, which is pretty damn cool as far as I'm concerned. It makes it well worth the effort they put into it. All right. What's my situation here? All right, we have something broken still. Let's check my tack real quick. Tack's nothing, so. I can't remember how the hood tilts on this one. I think it's on the H menu. Nope. Yeah, I still got some broken things, so. Does this one have high beams work now? Something's still broken. No, it's out. Okay, shit. It could be the battery's just dead. Oh yeah, it's the battery's dead because what happened was the wheels spazzed out, and when the wheels spazzed out, it caused the battery to die. So we'll go ahead and we'll build up the battery, and then I'll shut infinite electricity off. So then people will complain about this sort of stuff, like, turn on the custom menu, and when something happens like that, right, you can RP it as, hey, we got to jump from somebody. Hey, the battery wouldn't have really drained, so instead of dicking around and being annoyed, I'm just gonna turn on infinite electricity, get it started, get the battery going, and then we'll move on with our life. You know, you really want to RP it. Spend a couple bucks to go get, you know, take $500 off for a tow fee, you know, and move on with your day, you know, instead of getting pissed off, because you know you kind of can't necessarily control everything that happens, but you can control your reaction to it, all right? And instead of letting some of these minor things annoy you, just go enjoy it, you know. All right, money's still growing. We still got $14,000. Once we put this in the base, this will give us a huge supply of diesel, and we can sell it at any point. This is one of the reasons I was going up the mountain, but to not have this rocket ass road. But you know, and so this is going to put a bunch of fuel in our base, and it will we'll still be selling that. That will still give us plenty of money to play around. And then when I despawn this truck as well, that's going to give us a lot of money back, and so we can still go do rescue missions and stuff. What I think I'm going to do is when we get back to base, I'm going to despawn this. I can't. Can I? I could save, but it'll probably despawn the add-on, and so the add-on will be despawned, and that will make it so that the I have to respawn the pumper, which isn't the end of the world. That's fine. So I think I definitely need to add a torch and a fire extinguisher to this truck. Most of my trucks always put a fire extinguisher in because you'd have one in there in real life, and I don't know why this one didn't have it. So probably just forgot. And we'll try to remember to get rid of our... Oh, there's a fox. Meow, 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 meow. Try to get this. You can hear him. He just made a noise, the fox. It's funny. When is bro scream time? What are you talking about? I have no... When am I going to stop streaming? Is that the question? In some sort of foreign language? I don't know when I'm done. It's 11 now. I'll probably finish up. I might... You know what I'll do? I'm going to finish up. That's probably a good idea to finish up. I didn't think it was this late. But yeah, that was fun. Got some good money rocking and rolling here with that fuel. We've got this fuel going to go into the base. And then we can sell that later with a tanker, which would be better. We can park that tanker. I have plenty of barges. I have plenty of boats already built, so we can get that over there and get it sold. Probably was not wise taking a truck over there. That's not really a truck selling point. Like, they have those. There's one over by... what the hell is that? Holt? Yeah, there's one over by Holt that could go to. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop. I'm going to save. And I'm going to save this as the backup. All right, I'm going to proceed. And then we're going to despawn the diesel. So if we look at the base, it's got 38.95 in there. And then when we add this, it should give us a considerable amount more. And then we'll have a bunch of diesel in here, and we can sell it later. There's no rush on it. But yeah, this will get us in the... So get us some money back so we can do some things while that's selling. And we can also pocket a bunch of diesel for now. And then anytime we want to sell that diesel or use it, we have it on hand. So the door gets stuck like that, just go ahead and sit in a seat. Bingo, it opens. And you can let it frustrate you, or you can just keep playing. I would choose to keep playing. All right, let's go ahead and return this to workbench. We get a bunch of... Oh, shit, it brought that back. That's fine. I forgot it's going to do that. They're all one body. Let's see what I lost for money. We'll just fix that. What did I get? 51,000 liters. It looks like it gave me all the fuel that was in the trailer as well. So that's fine. Yeah, it definitely gave me all the fuel, so that's fine. I don't need to cheat any money back. Let's go over here. I want to check on the add-on, see if it's still there. We'll despawn that. Yep, it's still there. All right, let's go ahead and once we open the add-on or close it, that's gone. And then we can go over here. I can save this up. And let's save this. And we're going to save it without the backup. All right, good. And so I think we'll finish up there. That was fun. We'll be able to keep going here. We got 48,000, which isn't too bad. That's plenty of money to start doing some stuff. I'll get one of my old tankers out. Let's actually do that super fast. We'll go check out what I have for some tankers. I have some small ones I built. And then we can go tanker one over later. Let's see. This one here, the small tanker I was working on. We could work on this some more. I could make a new one. Well, we've got this kind of going. Could make a new one. And those are wicked old. That's 2021. That's my big one. We're not using that. But yeah, we could go work on this little tanker. It's kind of got a start going, so that's not too bad. But yeah, we could go tanker some fuel over doing that. But if you liked the video, give it a like. If you're new and you enjoyed it, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.